Over the past year or so, Honda has been quite a busy bee. You see, unlike a lot of other manufacturers, Honda hasn't just updated their products to comply with the new BS6 emission norms, and they have gone out of their way to give their products substantial updates. And in the process of doing so, they have restructured the products in their 160 to 200cc space. Up until 2 years back, Honda had as many as 4 products in the 150 to 160cc space: the Unicorn 160, the X-Blade, and the CB Hornet 160R. The Unicorn 160 never really garnered the right kind of market sentiment, forcing Honda to pull the plug on it. That left the Unicorn and the X-Blade, with the latter securing the premium category. All of this allowed Honda to position the Hornet 2.0 a notch above the 160cc class and at close quarters with the 200cc category. So the real question is, does the Hornet 2.0 find an agreeable neutral territory between the 160 and 200cc class, or is it a compromise in every which way? Well, let's find out. Two things about the Hornet 2.0 are clear from the moment you lay your eyes on it. It looks beefier and sharper. The CB 190R inspired front end with the low slung LED headlamps and the fat golden upside down forks give the Hornet 2.0 an aggressive stance up front. Moving along the side, the Hornet 2.0 continues to get a 12-liter fuel tank just like the previous iteration, but it looks a lot more muscular thanks to the tank extensions, giving it a proper big bike feel. The split seat, the stubby exhaust, and the sharp-looking side panels all give it a sporty appearance. The tail section has been mildly reworked as well, but it continues to get the signature Honda X-shaped tail lamps and sleek-looking LED turn indicators just like the ones on the front. The body panels aren't really painted but infused with color, giving the bike a premium appeal. While it seems of good quality for the most part, there are a few elements that could be better put together. For instance, the black panel on the fuel tank looks a bit too plasticky for my liking. The side panel and the engine cowl too feel a bit frail. From the saddle, you look at an all-digital instrument cluster behind the handlebar. While it displays a lot of essential information like the tachometer, 2 trip meters, gear position indicator, a fuel gauge, time, and more, it does miss out on average fuel efficiency, average speed, as well as Bluetooth connectivity. As far as riding position goes, it is a good blend of comfort and sportiness. It isn't exactly upright. You have to lean forward a little bit. The foot pegs are marginally rear set, but it isn't too aggressive to cause discomfort. At 590mm, the seat is long enough for the comfort of the rider as well as the pillion. And the seat height isn't too tall, and most riders should be able to get their foot firmly on the ground without any issues. The Hornet 2.0 doesn't just get an all-new design, it also sports a new 184.4cc single-cylinder fuel-injected motor that produces 17 bhp and 16 Nm of torque. That is roughly 2 bhp and 2 Nm more than the old 160R. Despite the increase in output figures, it is still nowhere close to similarly priced competitors. That being said, it still feels quick nonetheless. Although the peak power comes in at about 8,500 RPM mark, it feels quite punchy in its mid-range. And with that in mind, the Hornet 2.0 is the most fun when kept around the 5 to 6,500 RPM mark, for it is here that it feels feisty without feeling as much strained. Go further beyond to the 7,000 RPM mark and some amount of vibrations are felt on the foot pegs as well as the seat. And with that in mind, it is best to cruise at about 90 kmph. Although the peak power comes in at about 8,500 RPM mark, beyond that it tends to taper down and does not much poke. The true merit of this motor is in its tractability. In the city, you can easily ride around the 28 to 30 kmph mark in the 4th gear without the engine feeling flustered. The Hornet impresses in its in-gear acceleration too. Even from low revs and speeds, there is enough poke from the engine to gain speeds reasonably quickly. The short gearing of the 5-speed transmission further aids this cause. The biggest surprise is undoubtedly the way the Hornet 2.0 handles. Its lightweight 142 kg body clubbed with the firm suspension setup gives the motorcycle extremely fun and nimble characteristics. The bike didn't quite feel unsettled even on the fast, flowing and narrow switchback that we encountered at a shoot location outside of Mumbai. For the firm springs that it has, the ride quality of the Hornet is in fact quite neutral. While it is far from being cushy, it isn't very harsh on the back. It does, however, tend to bottom out when you hit a pothole hard, even at medium speeds. One aspect where the Hornet 2.0 really needs some improvement is in the braking department. The front brake lacks initial bite and only feels adequately effective when you pull the lever hard. While it is something you can come to terms with, it can sometimes lead to a bit of a scare, especially in a sticky situation. The story is similar for the rear brake as well. Honda only offers a single channel ABS on the Hornet 2.0 and that frankly is a bit disappointing, especially considering the price tag it carries. So where does all of this leave the Hornet 2.0? Well, it has a lot going in its favor, and at the top of that list is the design. The refinement and tractability of the motor, the light controls and the willingness of the motorcycle to change directions are all aspects that put it in an extremely favorable position. In fact, you need to live with the Hornet 2.0 and ride it in varying conditions to really appreciate it to the fullest. It is a motorcycle that grows on you. Sadly, test rides at the dealership don't quite work that way. Buyers more often than not have to decide basis a short spin, the brochure and the price, and that is where things get a little difficult for the Honda. Priced at about 1.27 lakh, it is just 4,000 cheaper than the TVS Apache RTR 200 with the dual channel ABS and the Pulsar 200 NS. While both those motorcycles have their USPs, you will be hard pressed to find a single aspect where the Hornet 2.0 reigns supreme. Is it a compromise then? Well, not really. The Hornet 2.0 isn't quite convincing in an obvious sort of way, but it is an undemanding and fun motorcycle that is greater than the sum of its parts.